Counter Narrative News today on Sunday the 23rd of April 2023. I had an interesting experience today. First of all, I was on some council estate area in North Lambeth and just doing some work on some community planters. That's, growing food and growing flowers and nice plants with and for council estate residents, and that was nice. And a black lady passed by and I said, come check out the spinach and stuff, and she was walking, and then we somehow just kind of engaged with each other. I called her over and I showed her the broccoli and the poppies and the massive echiums that go over 2 meters tall, and one of them is starting to flower. I didn't take any pictures, apologies, my battery was super low and I needed it because I was still traveling. So the funny part of the story of showing this black sister the plants is the plant is adjacent to a supported housing centre. And a couple of years ago, a good friend and a colleague of mine on the council estate, we used to grow projects around the council estates. We took over this planter, basically planted really lots of beautiful things. There's still lots of beautiful things in there, but we used to use the tap, which was just on the outside of the front of one of the front doors of the supported housing. And most of the kind of people who were running the supported housing place were totally fine with it. Particularly this very nice Turkish colleague. And there's another African colleague in there. Anyway, so I say to this black sister I met today, I said, she just asked me, oh, what are you doing here? And I said, just growing. I'm showing her the plants, and she said, that's really nice. I said, yeah, I used to use your tap until one of your seniors, I think, stopped us. She's a proper Karen, she was. She was just so miserable. This middle-aged white woman, just, like all of her juniors will let us use that tap. We should just plug our hose to it and water this planter. I mean, there's basically droughts year upon year now in this country. There isn't actually enough water to grow plants without having some kind of water management and watering it. And she said, oh, she's gone now. She said, that Karen woman, she's gone. She goes, you can use our tap again. I said, that's really kind of you. And I noticed her accent was from around Liverpool. I said, you're Merseyside? She goes, yeah. I said, you Toxteth? She goes, yeah. I go, that's where my heart is, because Toxteth was where the uprisings were. 79 to 81, and also during August 2011. And then it's funny, and then she I think she told me she was 55 years old. She says, and we were talking, and you make that connection straight away. I said, I'm an old Southall boy, my heart's in Handsworth and Toxteth, St. Paul's. And she was like, yeah. And she was just, it's just like one beautiful kind of harmonized, just synced connection of grassroots resistance, and we just understood each other, totally. And she was very supportive of that. So anyway, I went across Westminster Bridge, and of course there's what's it called? The big one, they call it, the Extinction Rebellion, and all the other kind of sister organisation, allied organisation, Just Stop Oil, and there's many others. So I got to chatting to them, and then I ended up speaking to someone, a younger person, a young woman. I was trying to find some kind of coordinator from Just Stop Oil to have a chat with them. They had a good leaflet. They had little kind of small boats. Something about like campaigning against the far-right racist thing about small boats, and I got excited and I took a leaflet and I realised, oh, it's not actually small boats that they're going to have a mobilisation around. It's just like making lots of little paper and, cardboard ones. I thought, wouldn't it be amazing to have like hundreds of small boats to kind of lay siege to Parliament at the River Thames in opposition, in a very kind of, really, that'd be a great direct action against the Tories' mad weaponisation, far-right racist weaponisation of the whole small boats issue of refugees and asylum seekers coming here. Anyway, I spoke to this young person, and I said to her, what's going on? And, several years, and there's still massive chasm between you guys, who are mostly, and not totally, white middle class, and then there's the grassroots and the council estate, who are, they don't have any organisation, and there's just no connect between us. But we are both facing the same system, and you guys are opposing it, and we're kind of opposing it in our own way, although things are just a disorganised mess at the moment, relatively at the grassroots. And it's interesting, this last several years, apart from the summer of 2020, I mean, really, the whole XR community in the last several years has elevated the whole direct action against basically the policy of Western states and their global oppression, which is focused around environmentalism, but it's very much relevant to our workers and peasants in the homelands and the migrant flows coming over here to London and the West. I mean, all the shanty towns across the global south, they're filled with people who run out of water in their villages. Because when there's water in villages, life is good for many different reasons. You know, water is flowing, food is growing, animals are fed, animals provide milk, butter, and yogurt, and all the rest of it, and manure for growing. And life is generally good and beautiful in the villages. And when the water runs out, then, you know, there's a crisis. Money runs out, food runs out, animals start to starve, and then they traverse to the urban shanty towns to get work. It's as simple as that. But anyway, so, and just wanted to share with our audiences on Counter Narrative News and get your opinions. It's like, don't you think it's important, like in a framework of respecting the working class black grassroots, for the radical environmentalists to kind of really kind of advocate, like, for example, that young activist who did that really excellent protest against New Scotland Yard when she just sprayed it with orange paint. That was really good, but all she could have said was like half a dozen words or 3 or 4 words just to make a connection with the grassroots. She could have just said, and justice for Chris Carver, or and justice for all the victims of racist police brutality. If she had just said that, there would have been a connect. It would have led to like thousands of new, like, important strategic conversations and positive conversations, and like a cross-fertilization. But, you know, it's like, why is this not happening? Anyway, this young person with Just Stop Oil was in general agreement, and she said, you know, there are people keen to unite and support the grassroots. So I think going forward, fascism is only going to increase, and it only kind of pushes these kind of those who want to campaign in a direct action in a bold way. It only kind of pushes us together. And so I think it's just important strategically going forward to build those bridges, and it has to be just and it has to be correct and ethical, i.e. like, you know, it has to, Counter Narrative News is always advocating for like black power and black-led grassroots, because it exists. The best things in the world that are good that exist are a result of that framework, and it has to be in this regards as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if anything comes out of this, and we'll keep you posted. Of course, myself and my colleagues were at the grassroots doing different initiatives, community gardens, growing projects, you know, working with young people and children, advocating all manner of different things, you know, obviously campaigns against police brutality and global imperialism and white supremacy and capitalism. You know, we're involved in so many different things, but it's important to always reach out to develop the united front or united fronts, and see how we can just support each other. Because, you know, I mean, Jeremy Corbyn, you know, he's a left social democrat and kind of sold out to a lot of colonial policies, not least, you know, trying to get thousands more police to oppress us in our community, supporting Trident, opposing Scottish independence, free vote for bombing Syria in Parliament, and the Migrant Impact Fund, this kind of racist policy. But nevertheless, Corbyn kind of took a quote that's actually it's a paraphrasing Mao, for the many and not for the few, because Mao said it like, unite the many against the few. So Corbyn slightly kind of course, in the Corbyn fashion, watered it down slightly. But the point is important, and it is an important principle to unite the many against the few oppressors, to unite the many oppressed and exploited against the few. And the environmental issue is very relevant, you know, and it has to be said as well that with all our criticisms, and many of them are correct, against XR and all of this stuff because of the kind of the problematic, you know, racialization and class composition, but still in the global race class struggle for liberation against capitalism and colonialism and against white supremacy, these people have been advocating in the center of the colonial of the colonial West. They've been advocating in the interest, very much so, of our global workers and peasants in the southern continents. Just a few ideas I wanted to put out there and see what responses I might get from all of you. All the best.